my name is Lenehan. My student number is S4483332. Today I'm going to be talking about the case of Norris versus Ireland. This case is from the 1980s. This case is about an applicant who puts forward a complaint to the Commission. At the time in Ireland, homosexual activity between two consenting adult men was a crime. It is also important to note that the applicant himself is homosexual and believes that these laws in Ireland at the time were violating Article 8 of the European Charter of Human Rights, which is the right to respect for private life. So I'm going to discuss the main facts of the case, the proceedings, the relevant laws, and I'll also mention the ones in Ireland at the time. I will address the questions of law in this case and the decision and substantiation of the court, as well as any dissenting opinions that may be present in this case.
The applicant in this case, Mr. Norris, applies to the Commission on the 5th of October 1983. He complains about the existence of legislation banning homosexual activity in Ireland and believes that this interferes with his right to respect for private life. The Commission of Human Rights refers this to the court in May 1987. The court accepts this case. The applicant also wishes to partake in the proceedings and designates a lawyer. The President of the Chamber consults with the government agent from Ireland, as well as a delegate of the Commission. The Chamber receives the government's memorial on the 26th of October 1987, as well as the applicant's memorial on the 2nd of November. The delegate would submit her observations at the hearing. It is announced that proceedings will take place the following year on the 25th of April 1988. On this day, the first hearing takes place in the Human Rights Building in Strasbourg.
Now I'm going to discuss the relevant facts to this case. So David Norris is the name of the applicant. He at the time was a member of the Second Chamber of Parliament in Ireland. He was a homosexual, as mentioned. He began campaigning for gay rights in 1971. He issued complaints directed against laws in Ireland which prohibited. During this court case, it was heard how the applicant suffered greatly mentally, resulting in him fainting. He suffered from anxiety and depression and loneliness. Following an interview on television where he came out as homosexual, he was subject to threats of violence and verbal abuse. Although Mr. Norris never was prosecuted for being homosexual, he was in great fear of being at risk for prosecution and believed that he was not able to express himself to the extent that heterosexuals could. This is noted in the case as well.
These are the questions of law in this case. First sub-question is whether the applicant is entitled to claim to be a victim under Article 2, Paragraph 1. May receive petitions from any person claiming to be the victim of a violation by one of the high contracting parties of the rights set forth in the Convention. In this case, the court finds him to be a victim of a violation of Article 8. The second question is the main question of law, whether legislation in Ireland regarding the prohibition of homosexual activities violates Article 8 of the Convention. Right to respect for private and family life. Paragraph 1. Life, his home and his correspondence. Everyone has the right to respect for his private and family. Paragraph 2. There shall be no interference by a public authority with the exercise of this right, except such as in accordance with the law and is necessary in a democratic society in the interest of national security, public safety, or the economic well-being of the country. Prevention of disorder or crime, for the protection of health or morals, or for the protection of the rights and freedoms of others. Provided that these homosexual activities are committed in private, the Commission finds that Irish law violates Article 8. In this case, the court also agrees with the Commission. It is noticed how the interference is in accordance with Irish law, but it does not mean that this has a legitimate aim. It is unclear whether interference has a social need in Ireland. There is no form of contest as to whether there is an important societal need for protection from such homosexual activities. Understanding of necessity and moral values in this context is subject to moral interpretation. The Irish government argues, however, that there is a need for more clarity surrounding this, as it will otherwise produce a distorted result. Tests, the court finds there is no pressing need to make homosexual activities criminal offences, regardless of societal values.
court has found that the applicant can claim to be a victim within the meaning of Article 25 of the Convention. Most importantly, a breach of Article 8 of the Convention has also been found.
To an extent, I agree with Judge Valtikos. The court's judgment to grant the applicant the status of a victim undermines the system of the Convention. However, due to the impact of the legislation in Ireland, the applicant's mental health was heavily impacted. He thereby may be deemed a victim in this regard. I entirely support the court's judgment in regards to